Hey folks, welcome to Lead to Cash. In this video, we'll go over Einstein Prompt Builder and how we can leverage its Gen AI capabilities to not only summarize accounts and opportunities at a surface level, but take it a step further and look at what are our customers more likely to buy based on transactional history. That level of deal insight. If you're eager to build this out, I'll put the timestamp in the description, comments. Feel free to head on over to that side of the video. If not, stick around and I'll go over some of the features and the background of Prompt Builder itself. Again, these are solely my opinions and observations. They are not associated with my current or former employers. Cool, let's get into it. So right here, I've got a user story that's basically highlighting the scenario that we'll build out later in the video, right? And just to sum it up, is really just calling out that, hey, we want to flesh out customer propensity to buy. Basically, look at an account and what are we most likely to sell based on the number of products we've sold, right? Going back to the question, what is Prompt Builder? So Prompt Builder, you could look at it as a medium where you're inputting instructions, prompts, referencing data, right, within your instructions so that you can output Gen AI fueled analysis and insight that your marketing teams, sales teams, honestly anyone that uses Salesforce platform can use and gain insight from, right? It's really putting the intelligence into Gen AI while keeping your CRM and business data at the center of it. And if we get into some of the features, so I'll flip right here. These are just a few features that I've observed. Of course, there's probably more. Grounding with your CRM data. So keep in mind, right, CRM data is not just your Salesforce records that are on platform, right? It's a lot more than that. So there is structured data that you can reference in Prompt Builder, but you can also reference unstructured data. So if you have Data Cloud hooked up, if you have external data that's hooked up via MuleSoft integrations, right, you can reference context from those in your prompts. Looking towards the right, reusable prompt templates. So this at the base of it, this is scalable AI. So this is calling out that, hey, when you create a set of instructions, prompts, right, prompt templates, you can reuse that across objects, multiple use cases, multiple persona journeys. It's not just a one and done. Integrations with LLMs. So you'll see when you go into the system, there's a list of supported LLMs, large language models, that you can use that are going to work with the instructions that you input into Prompt Builder. And if you want to bring your own LLM, right, you have the capability to do that. You just have to configure the parameters and whatnot. Last but not least, data security and trust, right? So the cool thing about Prompt Builder is, with Einstein Trust Layer, you get that enterprise level AI that's compliant from day one, right? And it does this via its security capabilities with data masking, zero data retention within your prompts, right? There's a lot more, but these are just a couple of capabilities that ensure that level of security within your prompts. Okay, now we'll get into the solution steps that are going to take us to building out the scenario that we talked about, right? And I try to make it a little bit more complex in terms of what you have to do to use Prompt Builder, the data references and whatnot. My thought process was, if you can do the hard stuff, you can do the easy stuff, right? So here, the first step, data aggregation. If we want to look at what products are most sold on an account, we need to look at the successfully closed won deals and the products associated with them, right? So this is going to be a flow, a template triggered prompt flow. It may not be the record triggered flow you're used to, but we're going to use this flow to basically look at closed won deals on an account, and then of course line items, and then you'll see something cool right here, send prompt data, add prompt instructions. So we're going to aggregate that information that we get from the flow into referenceable variables that can be used in our prompt later, like our instructions. So that's step one. Step two is actually creating the prompt, right? So what you see here, this is Prompt Builder. And really, you want to pay attention to this first column right here, right? In the settings, you can't see it, this is a screenshot. Wish you could dynamically see it on the screenshot. But if you click the gear, you'll see that there's a list of supported LLMs. So you have opportunity to use various different LLMs when creating this prompt. But the thing I want to call out here, I'll go into this more in detail in the video, but there's really a skeleton structure. You got your header, you got your body, which is the actual instructions, right? And then within the instructions, you have references to data. So the blue text is out of the box where you can insert resources. And then the green is references to flows. So this is a reference to the flow that we saw on the previous slide. And then you've got your footer, which is really calling out, how you want the summary to output, right? Okay, so making the prompt, and then last but not least, we need to actually output that so users in the system can see it, right? They can see the results. So you can do this through various means. You can output it into text fields on an account, on an object. You can create screen flows, click a button and open a screen flow. Again, try to make things a little bit more difficult so we can do the easy stuff. And then I also like pop-ups, unless they're error messages. So we'll create a screen flow where we click a button and the screen flow pops up and it shows you the analysis, the insight of, hey, what are the products on this account that are most sold, right? So that wraps it up. Yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get into the system. Okay, we're in the system right now. First thing we want to do is make sure we've got our settings right. So let's go to Setup. You'll click, so I just navigated to Setup. I know I've got tabs here for quick access, but you go to Setup, Einstein Setup, and then you'll turn on these switches. Next thing you want to do is, let's go to permissions, right? So I'm going to go to my user. This is my user record. Things you want to note here is under license, you want to have, let's take a look at it, right? So you want to have Agentforce default. You want to have Agentforce Service Agent Builder. And then there's one more, Einstein prompt templates, right? So this is what's going to give you access to what you need with Prompt Builder. Okay, so we've got those three. The next thing we want to do is we want to jump into creating our flow. So first thing is creating the flow to aggregate our data, right? So since this is for Prompt Builder, right, we need a special type of flow. We need a template triggered prompt flow. We can't use a record triggered prompt flow. We want the template triggered prompt flow, and click that, do automatic. I won't go through this in hand just for time purposes, but we'll go through it step by step. Don't worry about that. So just like the previous screen, right, I've got my template triggered prompt flow. I've got this pre-created. So automatic inputs, we want to use record summary template capability, right? We're summarizing off an account. That's why we're doing this. And then your object type, like I mentioned, is going to be account. Okay. Since we want to look at closed won deals on the account and which products were sold the most, first thing we want to do is get all the closed won opportunities. So you'll see here, right, object's going to be opportunity. I'm going to get those opportunities where account ID on the opportunity matches. So you'll have an option when you click value. Here, I'll do it with you. You scroll all the way down, prompt template input. So you click that, account, and then account ID. Yeah. So this is basically saying, hey, the account that's referenced in the instructions in your prompt, the ID of that account has to match the ID of the account on the opportunity. That's what this is saying. Yeah. And then your stage for the opportunity should be closed won, right? All records, yada yada. Okay, we'll close that. And then we've got our closed won opportunities, right? Next thing is we want to loop through them. We want to loop through them so that we can loop through the line items on them, right? So here you'll see a collection variable is opportunities from this get record, right? Okay. Next thing is get one line items. So I've named it that. This is going to be on the opportunity product. So if you're trying to reference assets, you can do assets. If you're trying to do subscriptions or something else, you can do that. For this purpose, we're going to look at opportunity line items. So opportunity product, again, right here, I'm referencing the loop. So the opportunity ID of what's being looped should match the opportunity ID of the line item, right? And then all records. And then, so I've got that there inside the first loop. The second loop, we're gonna loop through those line items, right? So we're looping through these line items because we wanna store their information so we can use them in our instructions in the prompt, such as product name, quantity, etc., right? So here, opportunity product from get one line items from here, okay? And then this might be new to some of y'all. You'll create a send prompt data action. So this is going to be add prompt instructions. It's not going to be action or anything like that. You're going to click add prompt instructions. And then this will give you groundwork to do some of this work. So I've named it send prompt data. You can name it whatever. And here, this is where we'll actually tag our data to verbiage. Reason we're doing this, right, is whenever we use this text, right, in our prompt. Let me pull it up real quick. Yeah. So here, based on transactional history, this customer is most likely to buy the following. Format it in product name, quantity, total price. I'm just showing you the future state of this, right? So that's why we're matching them up to the data here. And we'll do this one together. So you'll see they're delineated by commas. But let's do the first one, product name, right? I'll type it down here. So product name is going to be current item from line items. So we want to look at the line items, the product lookup on the line item, and then what's the name. Here, let me type it. Name. Yeah? Okay. And comma. For the other stuff, I didn't have to reference the product, right? Because we're looking at a line item. I just referenced the product too, because that's where I'm going to get the actual product name. So for quantity, right, I just did the loop dot quantity, and then for the actual prices for each line, I did loop dot total price, right? So that's that. And then you'll save, and then you'll activate. If you don't activate, this won't be referenceable in your prompt. Okay. So after activating this, we've got our filtered data, right? The data we want to use, sorted data. Now the next thing is going to prompt builder. So the way we get to the screen is you're going to literally type prompt builder in setup, and this is already created. You'll see it's a record summary. This is what we want to worry about. You'll click new prompt template. We want record summary just to hit on a couple of these, right? It might be useful in different use cases. So field generation is going to help for instructions to update a field, specific field, right? Flex is something where you want to reference information from multiple objects. So let's say in our situation, we're only doing account, right? We're going off the account. But let's say you want information from quotes, orders, etc., right? And accounts, you'd use Flex. For our purpose, we're only going off the account. We'll do record summary, name it something, and then object type is going to be account, right? My name was customer insight. I'm just not going to create it just because it's already created. So to do that, it'll take you to this screen. Obviously without the text in it, right? We got to write the text. So ignore 2 and 3 for now. These are preview screens. But yeah, so the skeleton structure you want to follow is header, body, and then footer, right? What do I mean by that? So header, this is a brief blurb on what's the purpose of your prompt. So you'll see here, the purpose of us typing these instructions, right, is to summarize the customer propensity to buy, summarize, what opportunities are closed won, what is a customer most likely to buy? Customer propensity, that's what that means. What's a customer most likely to buy? And then instructions, this is pretty important. So you'll have to actually type instructions here. You'll need 3 double quotes also at the bottom of the body, right? And then this is where you'll actually type your instructions for the output, right? So I've got this divided in sections. You don't need these dotted lines. I've just done it for like clarity of the video. But up here, basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, summarize the opportunities on the account and what stage they're in. That's why we get this piece that we see over here. All right, this is a preview screen. So you may have to drill down and get really, really specific. So what I mean by that is you may have to type never display IDs in the output. Sometimes the output's going to output the opportunity IDs. You probably don't want that, right? So you may have to clearly state, hey, don't show the IDs. If you want a specific text introduction, like how I have up here, these are the number of opportunities based on transactional history. This customer is most likely to buy the following. You may have to use the following format only and actually type in the format, right? You don't have to type it in for every line item, right? The GenAI is going to do that for you, but just to kind of set the structure, right? So we've got that piece. We summarize the opportunities in each stage. Now let's actually do the thing we were talking about where we want to see what's a customer more likely to buy, right? So here, I'll let you read through this, right? I'm not going to read through all of it. But same thing, right? I've got my instructions up here based on transactional history, yada, yada, yada. So one thing I forgot to call out, right, is the blue text or out-of-the-box resources. So this is data that's already usable within Prompt Builder. So you access that via going here and then account. Since we named the prompt template to record summary off the account, right? So you can actually reference any information on the account detail page and its related lists. So if you scroll, so account name, etc., but if you scroll all the way down, right, you'll have access to the information of all the items on the related list for the account: assets, cases, contacts, opportunities, right? Reason we can't use this and we had to create a flow is we wanted to look at only closed-won deals, right? So that's why we had to create the flow and then get the specific information like the product name, quantity, and the total price, right? But for this top summary up here, we don't care. We're just really looking at all the opportunities associated with the account, so we can use that out-of-the-box related list, right? So that's what I've got up there. Again, even in this prompt, I'm referencing the account name, and it's going to use, the input, whichever account, right? That's why we want it to be input account name. So basically, getting back to where I was, right? In a numbered list, rank the 3 products that are most bought on the account in descending order based on product quantity. State the name, quantity, and total aggregate price for each product on each line. And then I've injected the flow here. So if you've activated this flow, right? Where is it? Somewhere here. Yeah. If you've activated this flow that we just created, you should be able to see it in the drop down under flows. So insert resource flows. It's going to show you all the active flows pertinent on the account. So this is basically going to, given the instructions, state the name, quantity, total aggregate price. With this flow, use following format. It's going to spit out your line items. And that's what we see over here, right? Based on transactional history, this customer is most likely to buy the following. Yeah. This won't populate automatically. We'll get to how this populates, but yeah. So that's the centerpiece. And then lastly, footer, you could copy and paste this, but this is really just like, hey, voicing syntax of your message. And then now create summary. Yeah. Okay. Before I preview one thing I wanted to call out is if you click the gear icon, in the video I talked about LLMs, right? So here under model, you'll see all the different LLMs that are supported. If you'd like, you can bring your own in. You'd have to configure it yourself. But for this, right, I'm using OpenAI GPT for Omni Mini. Cool. So that's that. Let's preview, right? So I'm previewing this, but I'm previewing with test records already created. So account 1, I've got account 1 here. Before you even click preview in Prompt Builder, go ahead and create opportunities, right? And then you'll see I've got 3 here. We got 1 in qualification, 2 in closed 1. That's what we saw it on the preview screen earlier. And then add your opportunity products, right? If you're using assets in your flow, use assets. And then you'll see that I've set quantities and prices against those products, right? I've done the same thing on test Opti 3 and Opti 1 as well. So getting back into here, if I update the account to the test account that we created, account 1, and then click preview, right, then this is going to run and show you, hey, what are you expected to see with this prompt. I've got the bold. I know it's not bolding here, but when we output it into like an actual record or into a flow, a screen flow, these will actually bolden, right? So it's a lot of it's like HTML formatting when you write your instructions. Cool. So after this is said and done, you'll click to activate. Activate, not deactivate, sorry. So now that our flow is activated, our prompt is activated. The next thing we want to do, right, is we want to create a button. So this is already pre-created, right? We want to create a button that outputs what we saw in Prompt Builder, right? So like I mentioned, now it's bold. This is what the end state's going to look like. But how do we create that button and how do we create that screen flow, right? So let's start with the flow. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go click new flow. Let me see. Yeah. So you'll click new flow and we'll ignore this. Sorry, didn't mean to confuse y'all. You'll click new flow, new screen flow. Make sure that's your type. And then we want to do a get records of the account, where account ID equals record ID. This is a variable I created, so should be only one variable you've got to create, but you'll create a variable, you can name it record ID, text, available for input. The reason we're doing this, right, is we need to store the value of the ID that is in Prompt Builder. So anytime we use it, this makes it dynamic across different accounts. So anytime we use it on an account, it's going to store the account ID of that specific account into record ID. So that's why we're doing this, right? So ID of account in use, right, should match the account ID for this flow. Only first record. And here, right, so display prompt. This is an action, so go ahead and click action. And the name of the prompt, so name of our prompt was customer insight, if you remember, right? So you'll type in customer insight, you'll click that, that's what's going to give you this, yeah? So I'm not going to add this, I just did it for the video, but you can name it display prompt, and then it's going to be account from get current account. So you're going to reference the account that you pulled, right? Lastly, we want to spit it out onto a screen. So here you'll click screen, right? And then here is a display text. So what I did, right, is I clicked under components, display text, drag, drop that here. That's what's going to get you this. And then insert resource, outputs from display prompt, prompt response. Right? That's what that is. So this is basically saying, hey, show the information from the previous variable that we created in the flow, right? Excuse me. Yeah. And then, yeah, these are the important pieces. So this, right, we'll click done. So just to sum it all up, right? First thing we did is we pulled the ID of the account in question. So when we click the button for Deal Insight, this is going to pull that one record. Yeah. And then we referenced our prompt builder action. It's saying put that into prompt builder, right? And then this screen is saying take the information from here and then output it on the screen. Yeah. Okay. So that's that. You'll activate it. And the last thing, I know you guys know how to make a button, but I'll go through it. On the account, in setup, object manager, you'll click buttons, links, and actions. You'll create a new action, and then under the flow, upon creation, right, you'll input screen flow for Deal Insight. So this is the screen flow that we just created, not the first flow, the second flow. Yeah, and then it's going to be off the account, action types flow. Cool. So we've got all these steps in check. Last but not least, just like we saw a little bit later, right? Add that action to the layout. I called it Deal Insight. And then as soon as you click that, you should see the output from Prompt Builder. And you can play around with this, right? I know this isn't the most beautiful, but just want to show you what you can do, right? Cool. So that's how we use Prompt Builder, right? For one, and then two, that's how we get a little bit creative in terms of displaying customer propensity to buy, what are customers more likely to buy based on transactional history. I hope this helped you guys. If you have any questions or suggestions, right, we're all learning this here. Feel free to add in the comments and whatnot for any suggestions on Prompt Builder, flows, or just overall video, right? Any feedback's welcome. Cool. See you guys next time.